Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. Myself Venugopal, as you're aware, I'm an lead analyst in SAP area. Have almost like close to 10 plus years of experience in SAP domain. And today, as part of this video, we'll be starting data dictionaries. Under data dictionary, we will see the very important topic called table creation in SAP. So this particular table creation either you can do in any system, be it SAP ECC, SAP BW, SAP CRM, SAP SRM. You can perform this particular activity, what we'll be seeing as part of today's session. Okay, you can do it in any of the SAP systems. So as you're aware, just to give just bit overview about tables in SAP. In SAP, obviously the data has to be stored in backend database table, and also even if you talk about that configuration, the sequence in which your the T code will get called or screens will get called, everything in SAP will get stored in the backend database table. Okay, so ultimately it's all about table operation. Ultimately, once the user enters some transaction code and saves some data, it has to go and save in a backend table, and when the user wish to see or display that particular data, the data will be retrieved back from the database table and show to the user in the screen in a particular transaction code, right? So hence, the table creation is very important topic. That's why as part of this session, we'll be concentrating more on table creation. So the tables can be created in SAP system in an T code, that is SC11 T code. SC11 is generally called as data dictionary T code. Okay, so all table or database related operation in SAP system will be handled over here in SC11 transaction code. So the tables can be created using two different approaches. One is using top-down approach, the other is using bottom-up approach. We'll be seeing in a while what is exactly the top-down approach, what exactly is the bottom-up approach. Irrespective of whichever the approach you are following, both yields the same results. Ultimately, the table has to be successfully created in the SAP system, right? So let's move on. This is the pictorial representation of the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. You can see the left-hand side, the top-down approach. The arrow mark is starting from top and it is moving towards bottom. So in this approach, what you can do, the very first you will go and start creating a table. In the process of creating a table, if there is a data element already exists in the table, you will reuse the data element. If the data element is not present, what you will do, you will create a data element, and while creating a data element, either you can just assign predefined types, or else you can also use the existing domain. If the domain is already existed, you will use it. If not, you will go ahead and create a domain. See, we started the process of creating a table. Then at the same time, we parallelly started creating, in the same process, we started creating a data element, and also further we started creating a domain. Once the domain is created, it will get assigned back to data element. Once the data element is created, it will get assigned back to my tables particular column. Clear? That is called top-down approach. So coming to the bottom-up approach, as you can see, in this approach, we'll start from the below. That is, we'll start creating a domain. Once the domain is created, we'll start creating a data element. While creating a data element, we'll reuse the domain which we have created over here. And once the data element is created, then we will start creating a table. Under a table, for every column, we'll start assigning the data element which we have created already. These are the two different approaches. Both the approaches yield the same result. It's up to you whichever the approach you will be you follow. Okay, whichever you feel comfortable, you can go ahead with that. This is the two different table creation approaches. I hope this is very clear for you guys. So moving on, let us see what exactly is the domain and what exactly is the data element. So if you see the description, domain is a central object for describing a technical characteristics of an attribute of a business object. It describes value range of the field. So As you can see over here, domain is a central object, mean to say but domain defines technical characteristics of a particular attribute. Attribute is nothing but a particular field, right? It describes value range also. When you create a domain, there is a additional property you can specify that the valid possible values which this particular domain can take. Those things also you can define. For example, gender. If you are creating a gender for a domain, either it can take male, female, or T, transgender, or X not defined, something like that. Or else if you are defining a flag, a flag can take X or blank, X means yes, blank means no. You can define something like that. Okay. And once the domain is created, what exactly you will be creating a data element by making use of domain. We have seen the definition of the domain now. Let us see the definition of data element. So data elements, it is used to describe the semantic field of the table fields, like description of the field. Okay. And data element describes how a field can be displayed to an end user. So as you saw over here, domains define the technical properties of a field, whereas data elements deals with respect to the business user, or how this particular field description can be displayed to an end user. It talks about look and feel of your technical field. Got it? So domains predominantly deals with technical characteristics, whereas data element defines how this particular field has to be presented to the user. I hope this is clear for you guys. So let us move on. So this is the time for demo, and as we have seen, there are two different approaches. Either we can follow the top-down approach or the bottom-up approach. What I will be doing, I will follow the bottom-up approach. Let us create a domain first, then we'll create a data element, and then we'll start creating a table. Just for the demo purpose, I will be showing you a simple demo of creating a domain, then assigning this domain to data element, and then using that data element to table and for a particular field. For other field, we will make use of the existing data elements. So let us get into the system. Let me try logging to my SAP logon. I believe I have to exit from the demo server and log in back. Just give me a moment. So this is very fun, I can say. Because when I started my career almost close to 10 years back, so I undergone the training of ABAP. So because data dictionary is very important topic, and nowadays I also see there's a room for this particular concept to be learned, because most of the cases when you become a senior consultant, there are cases where you wanted to customize some application. In the process of customization, you always need one custom table where you can define the table properties for your custom application, be it BW application, be it ECC application, or SRM, CRM. So I'm logging into ECC system. You can log into any system. Okay. So I'm using my credentials. So now I am in the SAP system. Let me go to SC11 transaction code. As I said earlier, SC11 is a T code wherein you can go and manage all your ABAP data dictionary related object. You can see over here, you can manage following objects: database table, views, data type, table type, domains, search help, and lock objects. You can create and manage these many different types of ABAP data dictionary objects. So let us see one of the existing table. Okay, let me open a KNA1 table. So KNA1 is a customer master data table, general data in customer master data, and you can see this is the technical property. Obviously, as a SAP consultant, one day or the other you would have visited S11 table properties to see the table's field name. You can see if I take the second column, Kunnar, the column name is Kunnar, the column technical name is Kunnar, which is referring to a data element called Kunnar, Kunnr. But this particular data element is having technical property which is character, and it can take up to 10 character and 0 decimal places, and the description of this particular field is customer number. So I can show you this customer number or Kunnar field is associated or referring to data element. If I double click on this, you can see I am able to see the properties of your Kunnar and data element. As we saw in our presentation, it defines semantic definition or how the field to be displayed. So if I go back, you can see over here the data element Kunnar, whose short description is customer number, and it is referring to this particular data element is referring to domain. So before going into domain, let us see the properties. If you go to field label tab, you can see how this particular field description to be shown to the end user. There was a point how a field can be displayed to an end user that will be defined in data element level field label tab. See, if the length of the value which was stored in this Kunnar is 10, it will show customer. Like that, you can define different short length, medium length, and heading. Different ways your field label to be shown to the end user. Clear? And coming back, my data element is referring to a domain. If you want to see the properties of domain, it is already showing here character and 10, but let us get inside this. I am currently looking into domain Kunnar. See over here, this particular domains, as we are aware, domain talks about technical characteristics of a field, right? So you can see at domain level, I will define what is the actual type, which is of type character, and it can take up to 10 character. Here we will define technical properties of a field, and you can come to a value range. Here you can specify the valid possible values which this particular domain can take. Means wherever this domain is being used, either at data element level or at a table field level. So whenever user try to save the entries, if you have defined any fixed values or valid lower and upper interval values, it will cross validate with respect to these check tables. Okay, so this is the bit overview of your the domain and data element. Let us move back, and I believe you guys are good till here. Now let us go back and start creating an domain first. Just let me give a demo. So ZV Kunnar, I'm going to create a custom field called ZV Kunnar. Click on create. Since I have chosen domain, obviously the domain will get created now. Click on create. Domain for customer number. And you can, from the value help, you can choose what is the type of this particular thing. I'm going to create this as a 10 character. Save this in your respective package and activate it. As you can see, my domain is now activated. What is the domain name? ZV Kunnar. So I can create a data element also with the same name. In order to create a data element, all you have to do is choose data type keyword. So I'm going to create with the same name. Click on create. It is asking whether you wanted to create a data element, structure, or table type. In this pop-up, I have to choose data element. Save OK. Data element, and see over here at domain level, you can just enter your domain in this field. And coming to field label, you can define the field label like you can specify whatever the description you wanted to show for the field label. 15, 20, 25. Save this, save in your respective package and activate it. You can see the data element is active now. So the next step is I'm going to create a table. Venu tab, click on create. So in order to create a table, all you have to do is in the S11 screen, let me go back in the S11 screen, choose the database table, radio button, and enter your table name. Click on create. If the table is already exists, it will throw an error saying like choose different name. Since this particular table name not exist, I could able to create with that table for demo. And a delivery class, you can choose. There are different classes. As of now, you can go with application table. There are different metadata which you can feed into this particular table property so that it can take a different configurations. I can say as of now, you just concentrate on application table. And if you can see over here, under the delivery class, we choose A, which is application table. And under data browser or table view maintenance, you can set different level of properties. As of now, I'm choosing display maintenance allowed. Mean to say the user can maintain the entries to this particular entries. Other two options maybe you can explore yourself. Now come back to fields tab. Now over here, you can just enter the fields property. And one important thing is your database table should have one primary key, and mandate would be the key. Generally, we will be enabling for all your database table, because mandate will populate automatically the current client. If you see what is the current client 800, because as a basis team, they can create multiple client under a same ECC system. Under same EH7 system, they can create a different client with 810, 820, 830 like that. So in order to differentiate data between the clients, always SAP expect you to have mandate client followed by GV Kunnar field. We have added, correct? See, we have created a data element by referring to a domain, correct? So I'm using that, and just to populate other field properties, I will open S11 and we will just add a field which are similar to the fields present in our KNA1 table. Let me copy paste field properties so that we can quickly finish this demo and make the video very simple and crisp. So now I have entered all the table fields name, and also I have entered the technical properties like the data element. This defined your semantic and technical properties. Now save this and try to activate this. When you try to activate this, it is taking you to technical settings. So before activation, it is necessary that you have to maintain the technical settings. So for the data class, you can choose from the pop-up window whether your data can hold, your table is going to hold master data, transactional data, organizational data, or whatever it is. I am going with APPL0 master data and size category. You can just tell in advance to the system what is the tentative number of record which the table is going to store, and it is not hard and fast rule. That is, assume that if I am choosing one, if I am choosing one, you can see 1700 records to 6800 record. It is not necessary that this particular table will hold 6800 record. It will hold more than that also. Okay, so it is just a tentative number of metadata information which you are feeding to the system so that it can reserve the initial space. That's the thing. It does not impact even if you are going to store more data. And there are other additional properties you can explore yourself, since this is very basic example with respect to table creation. I am just going with that, and these two are the mandatory thing. Rest you can just click on save. Yes, click on save button. The technical settings are saved now, and now if you go back, the table is active now. See, I could able to activate my table. So now if you want to see the table content, obviously you can click on this and see the content. As of now, there is no content because we have not populated any data to this particular table, right? Either if you want to see the content of this particular table from S11 or SC16, you can just try to enter that. See, as of now, we have 0 record in this particular table. That's why we are not able to see any content. But programmatically, or if you can create a custom application or custom ABAP program which will update the entries to this particular table, you are free to go, so that you can what I can say, now you can populate content to this particular table, or else maybe in the next session we will see how to populate the custom using custom code. How can you populate entry to this particular table, like adding an entry to this particular table, we will also see. So if you want to maintain an entry, you can always do that, table content and create entries. See, I am in S11, I am displaying my table. If you want to create an entry, go to utilities, table content, create entries. I'm going to create customer number 1000 and the country India, and the name is Venugopal MN, and name to would be, I can put the expanded name. So city Bangalore, postal code 561, region rural, I will say, search term Venu, and street I can say BSK. Click on save. So your entry is successfully created. Now if I go back to SE16 and try to see the content, you can see over here we have successfully created a table, and also we are successfully able to create an entry in that particular table, right guys? So I hope you guys are clear with the concept of creation of a table from S11 transaction code, and also you guys are very versatile now with what exactly is the domain, what exactly is the data element and stuff like that. So just to recap the entire session quickly. So we started with that transaction code, which will be used for the data dictionary related operation, which is S11. We saw two different approaches, top down approach and the bottom up approaches. And we saw what exactly is the top down approach. Top down approach start with table, data element and domain. So whereas bottom up approach, you will create all the necessary domains, and then we'll create a data element by referring to the existing domain, and then you will start creating a table by referring to existing data element. Data element you will assign to every particular columns field property, right? And then we saw what exactly is the definition of domain and data element. Domain predominantly define technical characteristics of a particular field. Data element defines semantic definition or semantic information related to a field. For example, how a field can be displayed or description of a field. So then we started seeing the demo with respect to the creation of the table from S11. We created a domain, we created a data element by making use of the domain, and we also saw how to create a table from S11. We also maintain technical properties because that is the mandatory settings. Then we activated our table. Then what we did, we just make or created an entry in our table. So with this we are come to a conclusion of this particular demo, and more useful video on your way. If you like this video, kindly subscribe to my channel, and you can always contact me for any online video online training related to SAP. I will be providing training on SAP ABAP, BI, BW ABAP, HANA and BW on HANA. So you can always reach out to me on my mail ID for more information. My mail ID would be venugopalmn1988@gmail.com. You can also call me on my mobile number, that is +91 followed by 97399839992. Thank you so much and have a good one.